When it comes to fire support, what we're really going to be looking for is LRMs. And we're going to do just that on this chassis. What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome back to the Mech Lab. This is where I take a look at a particular mech from a particular game to check out a particular build. And it's been a while, but this is going to be a special version of the Mech Lab because I'm going to do the builds on camera, if you will, if you want to call it that. I'm going to take you through all the steps, more or less, for being able to do custom builds in the Mech Lab and go over the thought process and just basically do it as kind of a how-to in case you are new. So this is the Night Gyr chassis from MW5 Clans. We're getting our clan engineering on. So this chassis, I believe, requires Flashstorm DLC in order to use it. I believe. But it is a great platform for fire support. So as we get back into the facilities, what are your thoughts? Share your thoughts in the comment section on the build overall and just in general on the chassis, on mech builds, questions, thoughts, concerns, and let's get a conversation going. So once you're done with a mission, you'll end up in Mission Central. You go to your facilities, you go to the particular mech chassis in question, which is going to be something you can scroll down to like I just did, or you can select a particular weight. In any case, it doesn't really matter. We're going to go down to the Night Gyr, and we're going to select it. And then you go into Edit Loadout. Now, Edit Loadout is where you'll see, in the case of OmniMechs, your chassis experience. If you have a custom build, say custom, and stock builds are listed for you. And you're going to want to make sure you have whatever Omnipod sets you need unlocked for the build, right? That's important. For us, we just need Night Gyr Delta, or D. So I will select that and hit Apply Loadout. Now, if it's the first time applying the loadout, it'll cost currencies if you don't have the equipment in stock, as it were. But anyways, once we do that, then we can just click on any old section of the mech and go into a more detail. So as you'll see, the Delta stock has 4 LRM-20s with Artemis 4. Pretty nice. Then we have a medium pulse laser and a large pulse laser. We can see 3 tons of ammo in both of the arms. So that's 6 tons of ammo. Again, not too shabby. You'll still burn through it pretty quick firing off volleys of LRM-20s, but it's not bad stock. However, as we know with this game, ammunition can be a bit of a premium, and as you know with AI, which is what we're building this for, right? This is going to be a Naomi mech, really. AI loves to fire, Alpha Strike barrages at times of missiles into tanks and turrets. So this isn't quite enough ammunition. So we're going to go in, we're going to modify some things, and I'm going to take you along for that ride. So the first thing is LRM-20 plus Artemis. As we can see, it is 6 tons, and it takes up a lot of space, right? So we have 5 spaces taken up by an LRM-20 with Artemis. Now what we can do is we could get rid of the Artemis and just put LRM-20s in, which will free up space. If you do that, notice I have this here. I have incompatible ammunition because the ammo is Artemis ammo. So be sure you match your ammunition if you're going to change things out from Artemis to non-Artemis and whatever else. So with that said, we free up space. It takes up 4 slots and it's 5 tons. We could do that, and it keeps the LRM-20 volley. You get a little bit more space. You free up a little bit extra tonnage, and that's what we're looking to do in this build for the purposes of survivability and whatnot. But Artemis is nice, so what I have settled on is LRM-15 plus Artemis. As you can see, it takes up 3 slots, and it weighs 4.5 tons. So we freed up even more tonnage with just 1 swap here. So you lose a volley of 5, but what we gain is going to be extra ammo and armor, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to each section that has an LRM-20 plus Artemis, and we're going to give it an LRM-15 instead. And as you can see, the mech's visuals change, which is always pretty cool. So we know we did it. So we go to each section, we go to LRM 15 plus Artemis, and there we are. So what happened? Well, we lost 20 missiles per volley of an alpha strike, but what we gained is more space and tonnage. Now, large pulse laser, it's nice. It takes up 2 slots, so we are ultimately going to get rid of it. But notice how we have this 1 here on energy, and you notice it probably here as well, and you can notice it in everything. It just says 1. This means, even though I have the space, I can't put any more missiles in here. It only can hold 1 weapon, but we have the slots to hold 1 particular weapon, right? Up to an LRM 20 plus Artemis. So if you're thinking, oh, I would just take 2 medium lasers here, you can't, because it only can hold 1 energy weapon in this, but we have 2 slots for it. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of that. And in its place, because I'm looking to prioritize survivability most of all over secondary systems, we're going to drop 2 tons of extra armor. This is going to really bulk up this mech survivability right off the bat, right? Because you lose CT and that's it. So we don't have to change out the ammo. LRM Artemis ammo is the same for any number LRM with Artemis. Doesn't matter. So we're good there. But we'll be adding more. Now, I did that. So we're left with a medium pulse laser in the head. Now, if you're really worried about headshots, you could always put armor here instead. But I do want something in the chance that we run out of ammo on this thing. So what I am going to do is I'm going to make it a little bit silly. You notice we only have 1 slot in this category, so I can't do an ER PPC or a large pulse laser because they require 2 slots. But what I can do is an ER large laser in the dome. A little crazy, a little weird, but this is twofold. I want it to be long range energy, so I have that in case we run out of ammo. And 2, for my AI, she won't really try to close the gap, Naomi, all that much, because all of her stuff can be fired at a long range. So she'll tend to lag behind or, keep distance from the target, which is what I want. So we put an ER large laser in here. Notice our tonnage. We have a good amount of tonnage to work with still. We have 8 tons to work with. So what that means is we could factor in other things into the equation. If this was an energy heavy build, we could potentially put in some heat sinks or whatever. But for this, what I'm going to do is up the ante in regards to ammunition. So I'm going to put an extra ton of ammunition in each of the torsos, the side torsos, I should say. And considering each ton of ammunition gives us 270 missiles, we now have 3, 6, we have 8, right? And I'm going to do the same thing here. We're going to hold a total of 4 tons in each. This gives us, I already did that one, 10 tons of LRM Artemis ammo. A little crazy, a little much, but it works out. Now, what this means is we have 2,700 missiles. It'll last a decent while, even in AI's hands. Some missions, especially in Smoke Jaguar's campaign, which is where we're on, which is why I'm citing Naomi, don't have ammo crates. So this is something that you have to be careful with. But with this much ammunition, we're going to be pretty okay, especially with the rest of the star laying into stuff. And this is going to hurt. This isn't just softening up stuff. This is going to hurt. So we have 4 tons left. What I like to do here, since we can't do anything with the legs, it's all grayed out. We have 4 tons left. We have 4 sections that could use some armor. We're going to do an extra ton of armor in all the sections. This will use up the rest of our tonnage and increase survivability. So what you're seeing here is stats gives us a kind of a quick breakdown. We lost some punch, admittedly, because we lost 20 missiles in an alpha strike, right? Because we're LRM 15s instead of LRM 20. But we gained a bunch of armor. We also gained some max range because of the ER large laser. And ultimately, it'll say DPS and firepower is dropped, but we're ultimately looking pretty stout, all things considered, for fire support. So we want to save the new preset. We're going to name it. I like to name it things so I know what I'm looking at a glance, especially when I have mechs with multiple custom builds. And we hit confirm. Now notice we don't have it yet. We're still on the Delta because we have to go up to the custom build and then hit apply loadout. Notice the cost. We haven't actually built it yet, so we're going to have to pay that cost because I don't have this stuff. If I had any some of these, I would. Well, I have 2 of the LRM-15 Artemis already, so that's good. But I needed to build up the rest. So we hit confirm, and there we are with the LRM build of the Night Gyr, utilizing the Delta, right? So that's a build complete. We can back out. We can then, it's a right click, I'm not sure what it is for controller play, but you go to context menu, and we want to look at the weapon groups. I don't know if they fixed it yet, but weapon grouping doesn't really, didn't used to save in missions, so you want to make sure weapon groups are good here, and you can save. And I just like to double check with these things to see how the weapon build in terms of grouping is, and I like this. We have basically half of it on group 1, half of it on group 2, and then the laser on group 3, so I'm happy with that weapon grouping. I'm pleased with it. We hit escape, we're good. So I'm going to put that mech on Jaden here, and we're going to go into the sim pod. I'm just going to go here for the shooting range to kind of check out the build. The rest of my star doesn't really matter. We're going to go here, have some fun. So that there was a fairly straightforward, simple but effective build, and a nice kind of quick showcasing of what you do in the mech lab to make a build. So here we are in the shooting range. For context, we're going to go ahead and have our crew go to the back, and we're going to target something. We're going to target the Atlas. So we are locked on. We can fire our volley, and we can see the Atlas is taking some damage. And remember, this is the shooting range, so this isn't going to factor any type of damage reduction or difficulty or anything like that. But we can fire again, and we can see the LRM-15 with Artemis is going to give us pretty good weapon grouping in terms of the missiles. The Artemis lets them be pretty tight, and we're able to take out that Atlas in pretty short order. Now I fired a bunch of missiles, so I'm gonna need to do this so we can look at it. Starting off fresh, we have 2,700 missiles, like I said, so we're going to be able to really rain fire down a while, and considering the AI likes to fire things ad nauseum at anything, that's pretty good. Now, as far as heat goes, we're going to do a complete alpha strike, and we can fire off 2 volleys, a laser, 3 volleys, and this is probably going to, just about overheated. We're going to overheat ourselves, but take out, we didn't overheat. We took out that Marauder. So it gets a little spicy here. We didn't add any double heat sinks or anything like that, but the idea isn't to be what I'm doing, which is just outright crazy frontal assault on my own. The idea is to be fire support in the back and just be able to do this and rain down fire. And we can see this is really effective in terms of firepower. Let's target a really silly light mech and see what happens. 1 volley and it's almost out. You hit with a laser, you finish it off. So that is the LRM support rebuild of the Delta. Sometimes it's not about having the biggest thing you can fit in there. We took out an LRM-20 to put in an LRM-15 with Artemis. We upped our armor and our ammo because of that, because we freed up space and tonnage. And we, instead of having 2 different lasers, we increased our survivability in the center torso and still eked out a ER large laser in our face so we can headbutt with a laser, because why not? Naomi will use this build well. In Flash Storm, this build can be used well also with different pilots. It's all in all nothing super fancy. It's just meant to be a fire support build. If you fire the things on the move, in that case take it out, because the missiles track pretty nicely, and you are far enough away that the missiles will be able to more or less quote unquote correct their fire. Remember, it is indirect fire, so you don't need the line of sight, you just need to lock on, and as you saw, they traveled in an arc, and this thing has jump jets, so this can get into position quite nicely with some jump jet action. Or if you're able to lock down without seeing anything at all, like right up against a wall, you can lock on, jump jet up, fire, and then pop back down. Kind of a Pop-Tart, as they say, with missiles. Anyways, that's the build. That's how I went about building it. Is it perfect? Of course not, but this is a build that I have been enjoying a lot on fire support duty, especially giving it to AI star like Naomi, for example. They can put it to good use, and it does pretty decent firepower, all things considered, because we have to factor in that Jaden here doesn't really have anything in terms of like missiles to support him. We just overheated a little bit, right? He doesn't really have like spread skill like Naomi does. So if you factor in Artemis plus Naomi's missile spread skill, these missiles are going to be even tighter on hitting the target, which is pretty nice. So that's all I got for you. Night Gyr is pretty cool. I think it looks pretty crazy with all the missiles coming out of it. Raining some stuff down randomly there. And that's all. So thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by. Share your thoughts, questions, what have you in the comment section. Consider alpha striking that subscribe button to be part of future conversations a bit more easily. Put on notifications so you know when I go live here on YouTube. And together we can help combat the final boss, which is the algorithm. So thanks so much, and until next time, take care.